This is Attorney Mike Gravel coming to you from Chicago as usual, and today I was going to just do the opening statement from the plaintiff on the Depp versus Heard case. It was very interesting. I've done a couple other recaps already, and I kind of wanted to make this so my playlist was more complete. Number one. Number two, I got a lot of questions in the comments, and if you see this sort of opening statement, which is a roadmap of the case, that's what it should be. It explains a lot of why the attorneys are asking the witnesses the questions that they're asking them. You can see the theories that they're trying to develop. It's really helpful. Also, I think this opening statement is really good. The plaintiff actually had two attorneys, but the audio on the second one was awful. So I just have the first part, and that's the nuts and bolts of the argument, and it's a good primer for the whole trial.
Good morning. My name is Ben Chu. My colleagues and I from Brown Rudnick are truly honored to represent the plaintiff in this case, Johnny Depp. Some of you may recognize Mr. Depp from seeing him portray characters such as Edward Scissorhands or Captain Jack Sparrow.
Oh, he's going through the resume. He's going through the resume.
For nearly 30 years,
Mordecai.
Mr. Depp built a reputation.
21 Jump Street, baby.
I was going to say, it depends on how old they are. Go straight to Jump Street.
A respected artist.
Mr.
Whose
Corso.
name was associated with success at the box office. Today, his name is associated with a lie.
Boom.
Nice.
Here it is.
A false statement uttered by his former wife, the defendant Amber Heard, that falsely cast Mr. Depp, falsely and unfairly cast Mr. Depp as a villain.
My glasses with thick. His, I can see in the next week.
Violently abuse a woman. This is a defamation case. It's a case about how
she doesn't look good. She did not sleep.
Can be.
She looks better than I do on my best day.
Well,
I got to agree with Nate. Low bar, Nate.
That's true, it's a low bar. If I wasn't married and she was at a bar, I think I would be talking to her. Even looking like this. You're in your untailored suit.
That's because words matter.
Words matter.
They paint a picture in our mind.
That may be the theme.
Based on what we have experienced and what we know, or what we think we know. And because of that, words can evoke strong emotions in the listener and cause irreparable harm.
What's up with this close-up on her for the whole time?
I was going to say, the zoom in on Amber is a weird choice.
And when, like Mr. Depp, your career depends upon
they can't
your
zoom in on
image
Johnny.
and your reputation.
Career depends on your reputation.
Or whether movie producers want their films associated with you, that harm can be particularly devastating. This is a case about the impact of Amber Heard's words on Johnny Depp.
Whew, there it is.
Specifically, the words that she used in an
December
op-ed
2018.
Published
Still facing our wrath.
in December 2018.
For lying. Rightfully so, if you lie about it.
The op-ed was published, and this is no accident, the evidence will show, on the eve of her first major acting role in the movie Aquaman.
Was that the day before Aquaman came out?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
There you go. That's helpful in the narrative.
Evidence will show the words that Ms. Heard used, which are the subject of Mr. Depp's defamation suit against her. And there are three statements that we respectfully ask each of you to focus on.
Here it is.
There you go.
Statement number one, quote, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. Statement number two, 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse. And I want to repeat that because you're going to hear that throughout the case because the timing here is critical. 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse. Statement number three, quote, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse, unquote.
Well, my immediate concern is proving that those statements are about Johnny Depp. I'm not saying it's impossible, but all those statements.
If those are the three main plank statements, that isn't the world's strongest defamation case.
Because
they are going to have to make the connection.
In Hollywood, where Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard both have their careers, and many others outside Hollywood, knew exactly what she was talking about when she used the word 2 years ago.
Yep.
I became a public figure representing domestic abuse.
That's one of the linchpins right there.
That's because, as the evidence will show, and you will hear, 2 years earlier, on May 27th, 2016, Ms. Heard had publicly accused Johnny Depp, her husband at the time, of domestic abuse. You will learn during the trial,
why isn't that the charge? If that were public, I mean, this is the secondary order effect, right?
He wanted out, which drove her to make up a story that was, at first, designed to keep him. And then, when he made it clear that finally, after all he had endured, he was done, was designed to recast herself as an abuse survivor, with Mr. Depp as the alleged abuser. The evidence will show that 6 days after Mr. Depp requested a divorce, and he did so politely, and 3 days after Ms. Heard's lawyer threatened Mr. Depp with claims of abuse if he did not agree to her financial demands, Ms. Heard arrived at the courthouse in Los Angeles, California, to file for a restraining order alleging abuse. Ms. Heard, the evidence will show that Ms. Heard showed up with a mark on her face that mysteriously appeared 6 days after she last saw Mr. Depp.
This is a fantastic.
I hate Johnny.
It's solid. That's good. That's good opening.
Request for a domestic violence restraining order.
He's getting his $600 an hour.
The evidence will show that her publicist and the paparazzi were at the courthouse to document the event.
Could be more.
To make sure
Could be a lot more.
Johnny Depp's name was forever associated with the image of an innocent, battered woman. It was a jolt. It was a shocking story, splashed across front pages across the country. No one had ever, in 5 decades, accused.
Of course, there are like
Depp
5 attorneys in the room, so it's like $3,000
with a woman.
Yeah.
No one had ever accused Mr. Depp of being violent with a woman.
He
had been in other long-term relationships. He had children.
Oh, objection on the opening.
Objection on the opening.
Had never been accused before trying to shoot character, maybe? Improper character?
Could be. But no, but this is a defamation case. So a lot of character evidence is going to be coming in because of the reputational. You have to show that they had a certain reputation at the beginning and a certain reputation afterwards. So you kind of need some character evidence.
But he was saying like he'd never been accused of domestic violence before. That's a
Yeah,
so
true,
object on the basis of trying to show conformity.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. 403 baby, what up?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in conformity with the past. Yep.
It's just disrupting opening argument that's too effective.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it is.
So now he's challenging.
Well, I think it's also correct.
And
I think it's the correct objection. I would have made the same objection.
Yeah. And now the challenge is going to be getting back into his flow because he had a really good flow.
He's doing great on the opening.
He's going to need to backtrack a little bit and then just continue, which I'm sure he seems like a very well-seasoned attorney. You know, he's probably going to come right back in.
As
but let's
stated before, no one.
Oh, he won.
Ever in 5 decades.
Oh,
no one
he won
had
that objection.
Accused.
Big time. You hear it.
Being abusive of any
Just in case you missed it, let me say it 3 other times.
Yeah. That's the downside to objecting if you lose. You get them to
He had been in other long-term
everything.
relationships. As I said, he had 2 children. And no one had even suggested ever that he was capable of something like this. By choosing to lie about her husband for her own personal benefit, Amber Heard forever changed Mr. Depp's life and reputation. And you will hear him tell you the dreadful impact that it has had on his life. The evidence you will hear at this trial contradicts the story Ms. Heard presented to the world in May 2016 and again in December 2018. The evidence will show that the last time Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard saw each other before Ms. Heard showed up in court on May 27th, 2016, was May 21st. And that's a very important date. And I will ask you, please, to remember that through the trial. Mr. Depp's mother, Betty Sue, passed away on May 20th after a long illness when Johnny and his sister Christy had been taking care of his mother for a very long period of time. And for reasons that Mr. Depp will personally explain to you throughout the course of this trial, he had resolved to divorce Ms. Heard. So on May 21st, Mr. Depp came by the apartment that he shared with Ms. Heard in the Eastern Columbia building, or the ECB, as some people refer to it, to tell her that, to pick up his things, and to say goodbye. There is no dispute that soon after Mr. Depp ended things with Ms. Heard and left the apartment on May 21st, he got on a plane to head out on a European tour, a music tour, for months with his band, the Hollywood Vampires. And Ms. Heard knew that he was going off on tour and out of state when she walked into court to get the restraining order, which she obtained ex parte. It's a Latin word, fancy word, but all it means is that Mr. Depp and his lawyer were not there and had no opportunity to be heard. That's what an ex parte order is. You will hear from the police officers who responded to a 911 call on May 21st after Mr. Depp left. The police officers will testify.
That's the same day, though, right?
No injuries on Ms. Heard.
Yes,
it is,
May 20th,
it is,
2016.
Both police officers.
It is not uncommon to get an ex parte order in that instance.
No, for
They're
DQ.
they're just playing to the jury. That's a
Yeah, it shouldn't be
Nor do
though.
the police officers see any of the property damages that you will hear Ms. Heard claims existed in the apartments that evening. And you will hear those officers under oath testify that there was no violence and that there was no crime. You will also hear from multiple witnesses who, like the police officers, saw Ms. Heard between May 21 and May 26. Those are the crucial days between the alleged incident and the day she walked into court with her lawyer.
My client was out of the country is pretty good in terms of an alibi. I just think, I'm not sure we need much more than that. He was in Europe at the time.
And those witnesses will testify that they saw her without any marks, any signs of injury on her face.
So is there an overall allegation here that she wound up faking injury?
And you will hear from
sounds like it.
witnesses, including Brandon Patterson, who is the manager of the Eastern Columbia building where Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard lived together.
He called him Depp, Mr.
You
Depp.
will hear Mr. Patterson say that he saw, and others will say as well, that they saw a surveillance video from the week of May 21st that showed Ms. Heard's sister, Whitney, throw a fake punch at Ms. Heard's face. Now, let's just stop there. This is a surveillance video you will hear about where the sister of the alleged victim threw a fake punch at her sister, which allegedly occurred, this incident, only a couple of days earlier. Ms. Heard acting out being punched, responding to the fake punch, and the two laughing about it. So you have the alleged victim and the sister laughing about a fake punch. And you will have to decide for yourself, or we ask that you please decide for yourself. Would anyone ever joke about that?
Lady Cop is also
yes.
If there had
People
been
joke
Yes.
about that. That's bull. This I don't like this line.
It's trying to paint nefarious intent, which might be, but
about being punched by her husband.
I mean, if the facts can support it, they can support it. But if they don't, then that's a risky area to go.
Yeah, just saying like, oh, people won't use humor to lighten up dark situations in their life. Like that's not a winning argument in my mind.
Yeah, that's fair.
Instead, as you can imagine, the media storm was instantaneous. You will hear about and see some of that media coverage, which published pictures of Ms. Heard walking into court and other pictures supposedly showing injuries supposedly caused by Mr. Depp, a man who had never been accused of abuse of a woman.
Just want to make sure you heard that again, by the way.
The evidence will show that Mr. Depp
He didn't the first time.
eventually settled their divorce out of court. Thereafter, Ms. Heard dismissed her restraining order against Mr. Depp.
A restraining order for the purposes of getting a better result in a divorce? Don't say.
Depp had abused her.
Okay, I'm going to adjust the volume for everybody. I forgot about that part.
It didn't go away.
Oh, Lord. Good luck.
Thanks.
And the evidence will show that 2 years later, which is why we're pointing to that reference in the op-ed, in the wake of the Me Too movement, and just before the release of Ms. Heard's role in the movie Aquaman, Ms. Heard chose to remind the world about the festering allegations, this time under the banner of a international newspaper, the Washington Post.
It really does look like a PR.
What you were talking about before.
In the op-ed,
Aquaman. I didn't realize that was when the op-ed went up.
Ms. Heard again painted herself as the innocent victim of abuse. But this time with a wider audience primed to take action against industry powerhouses accused of abuse. The evidence will show that the clear implication in Ms. Heard's op-ed that you have in front of you was that she was the victim of domestic abuse perpetrated by Mr. Depp. The evidence will show that that was a lie, and it remains a lie when it was repeated and republished 2 years later. Hollywood studios don't want to deal with the public backlash from hiring someone accused of abuse, even someone with the incredible body of work and record that Mr. Depp can be proud of.
Yep.
A false allegation can devastate a career.
Pre-Mordecai, let's be real.
And it can devastate a family. And the evidence will show that Ms. Heard's false allegations had a significant impact on Mr. Depp's family and his ability to work in the profession he loved and loved to bring joy to everyone. Ultimately, this trial is about clearing Mr. Depp's name of a terrible and false allegation. We ask you in the next several weeks to please
How long is this supposed to go on?
Consider the evidence.
4 to 6 weeks.
Assess the reliability
Holy shit, dude.
and credibility of that evidence.
Long.
And to
Why?
make your own determination.
We're providing really good commentary.
What actually happened
a lot of facts.
Mr.
A lot of
Depp
facts to
and
go
Ms.
through.
Heard. And to tell you more about that, I am going to turn it over to my colleague, Camille Vasquez, who you had the pleasure of meeting yesterday. Thank you all.
Well, there you have it. You can see that May 21st date is really important. That's when she claims that something occurred that caused a bruise on her, and Johnny Depp's team is saying that never happened. And they present some witnesses. Like I said, I'm doing this a little bit out of order, so I've seen the first few witnesses, and so far, it's going to be a long trial, but so far they're making a compelling case that this did not happen. I mean, it's really hard to prove a negative, but they're almost doing it. Here at Law Talk, we like to have fun with silly stuff that happens in court, and every once in a while, and completely by accident, I assure you, you might learn something. Thanks for watching.